for the background. Taken the crow and I've blown it up. So I'm thinking something like that. But not just having this transparency back here. What I want to do is use the transparency, but spray paint a little bit on it. I'm going to put some white behind here, and then I'm debating whether to put some sort of color around here with some spray paint, and just having a bit of a texture. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's a thought. I figure since I'm showing you the whole process of this, I'm just showing you kind of what I'm thinking through. It may not work. I don't think I've ever started a project where I've finished it exactly how I initially planned it. Although, in all honesty, I kind of barely plan things. I have a vague idea usually. I never have it really scripted per se. So it leaves it open for changing, and I think I leave it that way on purpose because I know that when you're working on something, sometimes it triggers something else. So I don't want to pigeonhole myself by saying I want it to look this way when something better may come along, and I may not think about that because I have such a set idea of what I'm doing. So I try to leave it pretty fluid and just sort of let it happen organically. It doesn't always work, but you know, it's just, for me, it works the best. So what I'm going to do is I inadvertently printed this on transfer paper. It was just in the printer. Kind of mad about that. It's a waste, but I'm not going to print it again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to use this and the negative of it as placement for the spray paint. What I'll do is I'll cut the bird out. I'll put this down and I'll spray just the bird white, the back of it. Then I'll take the image of the bird after that dries, put it on top of that, and then spray around it. So Rock wanted to see my tools, although it's not focusing, but this is my X-Acto. It's nothing fancy, it's just an X-Acto. I do have one of, when I do my stencils, I have one like this, because it's easier to just, if you're doing something where you're cutting a lot, it's kind of nice. I never use the little finger thing, but it is kind of nice to be able to just sort of grab it and use it. So I got this at Joann's. Of course, I had to buy it because it was orange. That was the first thing that caught my eye. And then, I thought, well, maybe it's more ergonomic. It's all right, I suppose, but, it's nice. Maybe one day I'll do a little tour of the studio. I've kind of done it in the past, but we'll see. So right now I'm just going to cut this out. Okay, so there we have it. I guess it may have been a blessing that I did print it on this, because it's nice. It's a little thicker, and I think it's going to lay pretty flat. Okay, sorry the lighting's weird. It just is. I've decided to move this down a little bit, and I'm going to keep this up just so it creates a little interest. And I think instead of having the card going like this, I like it a little off, as is this, so I think that's a little more interesting. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if this will go as planned, but here's what we have. So here's the stencil. I'm going to flip it over because I want to paint the bird white. And if it's not perfect, that may even add to it. So, it might be cool that it isn't completely perfect. But I'm gonna try. I just, you know, can't make any promises. I keep these little extra tiles that either aren't gonna work or what I've ruined as sort of weights to help hold the paper down a little bit. I'm actually not gonna use white. I'm gonna use cream because I think it goes with the that antique-y look. I mean, the cards are basically cream. I don't know if they were ever white. They may have always been cream, but they're cream now, so I'm going to go with that just as a... I'm going to turn my fan on, my exhaust fan. So we'll do a light layer. And then I also bought these at the craft store. They're just little wooden sticks that I use to help hold things down. So... helps. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry, and then we'll flip it over and see what it looks like. So we're gonna find out together if this worked. Yeah, it came out great. I am a little nervous now about adding on to it, but I think I'll use, before I mess this up, because this came out so well the first time, I think I might just get some scrap transparency paper and play with spraying and see how that works before I screw this one up. Because if it turns out that he needs to be just by himself like this, then so be it. But I'm pretty pleased with the way that came out. So what I'm going to do is test this out, see how it reacts on here. This, I'm just using this, I'd cut this out of big text, out of an old stencil. I'm just going to use it just to see how all that plays out. So it doesn't matter, really, what's happening with it. I have this, I'm not sure why, but I bought this a long time ago. We'll see what it does with the spray paint. I'm hoping it'll react with the spray paint, give it some bubbles. Again, this is something I stole from Gary Reef, although he didn't use this material. He used turpentine in a spray can, or in a spray bottle. And the way it reacted with the spray paints would give it this bubble effect. So you can see it's starting to bubble a little bit. Not sure if that's exactly the look I'm going for. And then at the same time, I think it's going to keep it a little translucent just because you're spraying on it. So you can still sort of see through it. So taking that off seems to keep the integrity of the piece. Although I have to say, underneath where Big Tex was is pretty wet. And I don't know how that's going to react with the bird that's, you know, already going to be there. You can see it's wet through and through. I guess that would be a concern, was how this lift-off spray paint graffiti remover will affect the existing piece. But in the background, that's pretty cool. Gives it a nice overall texture, and the longer it's on there, the more it's bubbling. The next thing I want to do is see how it reacts to dried spray paint. What you don't want to find this out when you're doing it on your final piece. It's causing it to bleed, so that's a little worrisome. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. I think I'm going to have to come up with a plan B on that. Yeah, that's what happens when, with that. So, there you can see it better. That's what the spray painting did. Made it a nice solid. I don't want to set it down on the paper because I did dry it, but, so, I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't know. Putting a lot of work in this. I'm just not sure it's paying off. I mean, I look at it in the screen and I'm like, yeah. Well, since I'm documenting all of it, I'll just document this. I don't know if any of it's interesting. I'm tired. And the more I stare at this, the dumber it looks. It's just not really working for me. And the more I work on it, you know, does this look stupid or what? I'm struggling to not think that this is stupid. That's where I'm at.